Bibi Netanyahu, trying to get the hostages back, and we're trying to get the end of the Gaza situation. It's really bad, very bad. And we think it could happen, maybe it could happen pretty soon. We want the hostages back, we want the bodies back, and we want to have peace in that region. So we had some very good talks. As you know, I had President Erdogan here, Turkey, and we had a great meeting today. I think we had a meeting that was very conclusive in so many different things that we wanted, things that he wanted, and that was good. We'll be announcing that sometime later, and he'll be making an announcement too. But we had a great meeting with Turkey, and they're a very respected president, and spent time. We had lunch, and we had a lot of good discussions on those two things. And we have some executive orders today to sign that are very important for the country. And we'll start off with one that's a proclamation, and
Yes, sir.
want to do that, Will?
Yes, sir. So today is Gold Star Mothers and Families Day. This is an annual proclamation. This is to commemorate the fallen, those who have died for all of our freedoms and for our country, and for their families who have suffered such grievous losses. But this is a proclamation commemorating Gold Star Mothers and Gold Star families.
Yeah, and they're great people, incredible people with what they've had to go through. Very few people could have gone through this kind of thing. Gold Star. Okay, thank you very much. You'll put it over here, Steve.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on TikTok. From the first days of your administration, you've charged a team from your administration, led by Vice President Vance, with ensuring that we can preserve TikTok as a platform for the 170 million Americans who use it, while ensuring that their data is properly protected as required by law. With this executive order, you will be effectively bringing into effect the agreement that will save TikTok and ensure that it can operate safely and securely.
So this is interesting because I had a very good talk with President Xi, a lot of respect for him. Hopefully he has a lot of respect for me too. And we talked about TikTok and other things, but we talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors, American companies, great ones, great investors, the biggest, get bigger, I don't imagine. And maybe I'll have JD. JD was very much involved and in charge of it. And maybe I'll have you say a few words about the deal. He would report back, and the points of the deal, I think, are great for our country. So JD, do you want to give it a little talk, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your leadership and for your help. We really couldn't have done this without the president actually ushering this deal over the finish line. There was some resistance on the Chinese side, but the fundamental thing that we wanted to accomplish is that we wanted to keep TikTok operating, but we also wanted to make sure that we protected Americans' data privacy as required by law, both because it's the right thing to do, but also because it's a legal requirement of the law that was passed last year by Congress. So we think that we were able to do that. Of course, we're going to keep on working at it, but this deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it. We appreciate the cooperation of everybody involved, and it's a big day.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok closed. And I got a little used to TikTok. I used it myself during the campaign, and it was very successful because you know how I did with the young voter. And Charlie helped me a lot too, and he said to me, you should go on TikTok. And it actually had, because we got record votes with the young voter, as you know, for the election. So I was a little bit prejudiced in that way toward TikTok. It was very good and very meaningful, but we have American investors taking it over, running it, highly sophisticated, including Larry Ellison. And Oracle, I guess, is going to play a very big role in terms of security, safety, and everything else. So we have very good controls. And literally, I would get a call from friends of mine who were fathers of young people saying, could you do me a favor? Could you get it approved, please? My son is driving me crazy. So we're getting it done, and they have a big audience, and we have great American investors. And here's your final copy. TikTok. Maybe if you want, we could take a couple of questions on TikTok, and then we're going to get onto something completely different, okay? Yeah,
Mr. President,
Jeff?
Mr. Vice President, you mentioned that China was resistant. Can you describe where China is now? Are they fully on board with this?
They're
Or is there anything
going.
more?
I spoke with President Xi. We had a good talk. I told him what we were doing, and he said, go ahead with it.
On the algorithm, it's still being released coming from China. Are you satisfied that there's no security concerns? For
Yeah, I am. I really am.
It will push disruptive.
The biggest reason is that it's owned by Americans. It's, and very sophisticated Americans and people that love the country and very smart Americans. So they don't want anything like that to happen. Yes, but
Is there any operational relationship with Chinese entities or staff to execute the deal
with who?
with the Chinese?
I don't think so, not that I know. No, we're gonna be, this is gonna be American operated all the way. And great respect for President Xi, and I very much appreciate that he approved the deal, because to get it done properly, we really needed the support of China and the approval of China. Yes, ma'am?
Mr. President, now that Americans will have operational control, do you want to see the algorithm suggest more MAGA-related content prioritized?
I always like MAGA related. If I could, I'd make it 100% MAGA related. It's actually a good question, but I would, yeah, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not gonna work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's gonna be treated fairly. Every group, every philosophy, every policy will be treated very fairly. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you know the valuation? You know, the American companies going to be valued in billions?
Well, they valued it very highly. They're paying a big number. Do you wanna talk, Scott? Do you wanna say something about value?
Well, I'll let the Vice
Okay.
President, and then I can follow
And you'll
up.
say
Sure,
something.
sure. Well, first of all, I would say all credit goes to the Secretary of the Treasury. Couldn't have gotten it done without Scott. Also couldn't have got it done without Sean Cooksey on my team, so thanks to them. The company will be valued around $14 billion. We actually think this is a good deal for investors, but ultimately the investors are going to make the determination about what they want to invest in and what they think is a proper value. The most important thing is that it does protect Americans' data security. It ensures TikTok is still accessible. And on this question of the algorithm, which we've heard this a lot, what this deal ensures is that the American entity and the American investors will actually control the algorithm. We don't want this used as a propaganda tool by any foreign government. We want to make sure that our people and our investors actually make these decisions based on what's good for their business, as opposed to what's good for another government's propaganda arm. So that's what we've done with this deal. I think it's very good for the American people. And as the president said, young people love this. We actually want everybody to access this, whether they're MAGA or not. We just want it to be fair. We want it to be fair to everybody, and we think that's what's going to happen with this new arrangement.
Will the U.S. government,
And just to follow up on the Vice President, there were two pieces to the transaction. The Vice President's office has worked since the spring for the commercial transaction between the investor groups, and then Treasury and a group including the Vice President's office were in Madrid 2 weeks ago to negotiate with the Chinese, and it was a result of President Trump's close relationship with Party Chair Xi that we were able to get this across the line. We created a framework for Party Chair Xi to agree, and then on the leaders' call, the Xi and President Trump discussed the final arrangement. So it was 1-2. And that was the final piece.
will the U.S. government get any kind of annual payment as a result of this deal?
Taxes, gonna make money, and we're gonna get a lot of money in taxes. And you know, China wanted to see this go. It's a great legacy for China too. I thought President Xi was great in terms of his approval. We probably could have done it a different way, but it wouldn't have been the same. Wouldn't have been the same security at all, but I appreciated that he approved it.
So that's aside from taxes, there's no part of the deal that is like a payment to the U.S. government?
Well, we're gonna be announcing different things, but the US comes out great. And I think China comes out great because they're gonna have a very important legacy. And they have many other deals, you know, they have deals with us and they have deals in here, in this country. And, you know, they wanna be treated fairly also.
So, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, the U.S. company could change the algorithm to push different content? Is that?
The U.S. company will have control over how the algorithm pushes content to users, and that was a very important part of it. We thought it was necessary for the national security element of the law. We also just think it's important to protect American users. Again, we want users to use this platform the way they want to. We want the business to make decisions about content based on the interests of the business and based on the interests of the users, and that's what we think will happen with this new arrangement.
And they're paying a lot of money, and I think hopefully it's going to be a great deal. They're very sophisticated people. You'll see a list. Have you seen a list yet of the people? Well, you've been reading about it. Right? It's, I know Michael Dell's involved, and Rupert Murdoch's involved, and a lot of, and let's see, we have probably 4 or 5 absolutely world-class investors that love the country. They made a lot of money with the country, and many of them are in a somewhat related business, so it works out pretty well. And they're going to be very careful about all of these questions that you've been asking.
Who else beyond Murdoch?
Well, it's a blue chip group of investors, and we'll be announcing more about who exactly is involved in the deal in the days to come.
Oracle's playing a very big part.
That's right, sir.
And Oracle really understands this. And I think they're actually, they've been involved for quite a while running it for the people, the previous people. And so it's really, I think it's going to be very well protected. Very, very prestigious deal, actually.
On that point, Mr. President, as the President said, Oracle has actually had a role in housing the data for a long time, even when the entity was controlled by the ByteDance organization in China. So Oracle had a pretty interesting perspective on what was necessary to actually create true data privacy protections for Americans. They were a very important part of getting this thing done.
Mr. President, you told us a couple of weeks ago you thought that the security concerns were overrated, but were there legitimate concerns when it comes to safety?
From my standpoint, no, because the people that own it are, they're not China-centric, they're USA-centric, and they're very smart people. I guess you could say it about everything. Everything is, what's secure nowadays? Things that you think are totally secure turn out to not to be, but I think in this case, it's going to be as secure as you can be because of the ownership and the people, and they have a big investment. It's to their advantage to make sure it's good and safe. Yeah. Anybody else? You have a question? No, behind you.
Well, I just want to say, do you think this move and getting this deal done as president, do you think this honors the legacy of Charlie Kirk? You mentioned that he's specifically pushing you to get involved with TikTok and the campaign and help people with your voters. Do you think this deal honors you?
Well, I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries. And we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming in, the deals that are being made, $950 billion in one case, $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan it's $550 billion, South Korea's $350 billion now. That's up front. And one of the things I can say, I announced it lightly before, but we're taking in tremendous amounts of money with tariffs. We've never seen anything like it. No country's ever seen anything like it. I'm going to devote a little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They are the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers. And we're going to help the farmers out a little bit, because during this transition period, a period where we're taking in incredible amounts of money, we'll have a little bit of a shortfall with the farmers until the tariffs kick in, because they haven't kicked in for the farmers yet. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It will make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to in fact, just get the word out to the farmer. because they'll be struggling until the transition's complete. Then after that, they're gonna do, I think, better than they've ever done before. Last time I said, get yourself a larger tractor and more land. And that was when they were doing very poorly, and they ended up doing that, and they did very well. That was with the deal we made with China. Unfortunately, Biden forgot about the deal, and he never enforced. I enforced it till the end, and China was very honorable. But when Biden came in, he didn't enforce it, so. When you don't enforce a deal, they don't do it, so it's terrible. Biden was very bad to the farmers of our country. So we're gonna be doing that, it's an honor to do it too. Brian, did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, what's your message to the millions of small businesses here in the US that really rely on TikTok to reach their end user and market their service and their product?
Well, thank you for that question, because honestly, we were getting hit up. They use it for virtual advertising, and they pay very little for it and nothing for it. And small businesses have become very successful because of TikTok. And we didn't think of that, you know, when everyone's saying, oh, TikTok and this and that. But over the last 6 months, I was called by so many people saying they're gonna go out of business if they can, because they use it virtually as a advertising tool. And without it, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be able to get the word out about their good product or whatever it is they're selling. So it's a very important thing for small business. It's another reason I wanted to do the deal so badly. So let's go to another subject now, if we might, okay? And Will, please. Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that gonna be write checks to farmers, or is it gonna be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke Lane and the Secretary of Agriculture, and we'll figure out how to get money to the farmers. And again, this comes out of the large amount, hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money that's pouring into the country. The tariffs, remember what I said a long time ago, I said it's the greatest word, it's my favorite word in the world. Then I had to say, I was forced to say other things, and of course rightfully so, love, family, religion. So I think I put tariff number 5. I was forced, because the fake news did a big number on me, it's one of those little. But let's say it's my 5th favorite word, the word tariff. But it's making our country very rich. And when our country is rich, I'm able to help the farmers, and I'm able to help even other countries that are in trouble, you know? But we're able to help people that are in trouble. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, it's all a benefit of this tremendous amount. And I hear numbers coming in today, Scott, where the numbers were very high, right?
The economic numbers were off the charts here.
Unfortunately, right? Because this is the only country in the world where you announce great numbers and the stock market goes down. Because when you announce great numbers, they immediately want to take that success away by raising the interest rates. Why can't you announce great numbers and let them lower the interest rate so you can make numbers? This is the only country in the world. I don't know if you heard. Could you just tell them what the number was? And how
It is 3.88% growth, the biggest in years. And the important thing is the president says this is going to be non-inflationary growth, just like it was in his first term. So strong growth, low inflation, real wage gains. And to the question on small business optimism under President Trump last week hit a multi-year high. So small businesses, Main Street is back under President Trump.
But isn't it crazy? So I saw the market was down a little bit today. I mean, in all fairness, I don't feel guilty because we've set every record you can imagine. But it was down, and I say, oh, the numbers must be good. Meaning the growth numbers are phenomenal. And again, this is during, but a little bit of the heavy, the really success and the money pouring into our country through the tariffs. And I just say, why can't we have great numbers and lower the interest rates so we have even greater numbers? So people were saying, oh, the numbers are so good, they're going to have to raise interest rates. That doesn't have to happen. And there's no inflation. We have really, the only thing we have is great success. We're having unbelievable success. So the numbers are much higher than anticipated, except for by me and Scott and some of the other people. And they'll get a lot higher than that too. But I don't want to, every time we have good numbers, say, let's take all the juice out by raising interest rates. It's so backwards. It's so backwards.
Mr. President, They don't appreciate the importance of the third leg of your stool, because trade, taxes, and deregulation allows for significant upside growth without inflation. So eventually, the people at the Fed will be able to focus on this, like Alan Greenspan did in the 90s. You can have strong growth and low inflation, and I think we get the stock market up, Wall Street, Main Street, both doing well.
And we want low interest rates. There's no reason that every time we announce these record numbers, these numbers are way above projections by, all the great geniuses out there. They knew this was gonna happen. So they had 71 different people, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman from, I think, my wonderful Wharton School of Finance, actually. So anyway, but I really want you to look at that. Every time we have good numbers, they say this is a good time because they're guarding against inflation that may happen in 2 years from now. We have to change our thinking. We should be rewarded for good numbers, not penalized.
So, Mr. President, is that 3.8, is that the start of a 3% growth for the
Well,
entire year?
the number was projected at 2, because we're in a little bit of a transition period, but that transition period's ending faster than we thought on tariffs. The money coming in is much greater than people thought, and there's no inflation, essentially, there's no inflation. We just went through the worst inflation in the history of our country under sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping, and the inflation was really bad, worst ever. They say 48 years, I'll take that too, but I think it was probably the worst inflation we ever had because of spending and energy going through the roof and everything else. By the way, energy's way down. And you're gonna really be impressed when you hear what happened today with President Erdogan of Turkey. I think it's great for both countries. I think it's great. We have great relationships with a lot of countries, and you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000? Huh?
2 millennium.
It's a long time. Yeah, go ahead.
Did Erdogan agree to stop buying Russian oil?
I don't want to say that, but if I want him to, he will, yeah.
But he didn't think that.
Well, I didn't say, okay, you stop, but I believe you, I believe he will stop it, yeah. You know why? Because he can buy from a lot of other people. He can buy from a lot of other people. You know who really can't is Hungary. Hungary's got, they're landlocked, and they don't have a nice ocean where ships can sail in from all over the world. They have one pipeline coming. Because I spoke with, he's a great guy, he's a great friend of mine, but that's a harder one for them. And Slovakia too. They're sort of married to one pipeline. So I just don't want to have people go blaming them when, we spoke to them at length today, and it seems like they, for them it's a little, but that's Turkey has a lot of options. He's a great president, a very smart man, and he's going to take, he's going to do what's right. But we had a very good conversation having to do with the purchase of military equipment, etc. Any other questions? I will be able to easily if I want. So we may do that, yeah.
But not yet.
Well, it depends. He's going to do something for us, yeah. Please.
Can I ask you, we're a few days away.
By the way, here we go with this guy. Go ahead, let's go. Let's hear the
We're a few
question.
days away from the end of the fiscal year and potential shutdown. They're gonna be a government shutdown?
Could be, yeah, because the Democrats are crazed. They don't know what they're doing. They want to have the border opened up so that criminals can pour in. We're doing unbelievable borders closed and people are coming into our country legally. They continue to want to have men and women's sports. They continue to want to have transgender for everyone. They want to raise everybody's taxes at a number that's not sustainable. It's the only time in the world I've ever seen a party that wants to raise taxes. I grew up in a family where I'd watch politics, and I always liked it from the time I was very young, but I'd always see politicians say, we will lower your taxes. These guys, they campaign on raising your taxes, but they want to raise taxes very substantially.
The one thing they're concerned about, the Republicans have total control of Washington. You guys have control of the House, the Senate, there's
Well, when you say control, so We need 60 votes for this, and we have 53 Republicans, so we need 7 Democrats.
And those 7 Democrats and others are asking for an extension of the tax credit on people who get the Affordable Care Act and some other government back come here. So are you willing to negotiate?
Well, what they're really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay. And our people don't want to do that. Our people are taxed enough. You know, we just approved the largest tax decrease ever in the history of our country, including the extension of the previous Trump tax cuts. The tax cuts that we just approved, they want to use those tax cuts to give the money to illegal aliens, people that came into our country illegally and that are leaving the country. You know, there's been a self-deportation because of what we've been doing that's been incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Military leaders from all around the country to say we also go there.
From all around the country to what?
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting. They're not sure why.
Well, I know, I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let them be friendly. Let them be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why, is there something? No, but is there something wrong?
Yeah, what is it
Well, I'll
about?
be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all, remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good, you act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
Is it a big story? I mean,
I don't think it is, sir.
I would think it's, no, but isn't it a good story? I mean, you know, we're respected from all over the world as a military force. You know, I rebuilt the military during my first term, even though we gave a chunk of it away to Afghanistan. But we're talking Afghanistan too, by the way, about Bagram and about that. But that's a very small amount compared to what we rebuilt it by. But I rebuilt the military, and we're very respected. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world without question. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We're selling the equipment to other countries. And a lot of generals want to be here and they want to look at they're also going to be touring equipment sites. They're going to be talking about the newest weapons, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's great when generals and top people want to come to the United States to be with our now called Secretary of War. Does everybody like the name? I do.
You said something
Yeah,
really
please.
interesting to speak about Ukraine, that you thought Ukraine could get back all the territory that Russia had.
Yeah, they have a shot at it because
What
Russia.
prompted you to change your thoughts on
Well,
that?
because I've been watching the way what Russia's been doing. I'm very dissatisfied with what Russia's doing and what President Putin is doing. I haven't liked it at all. It's killing people for no reason whatsoever. And they are doing very poorly considering they have put it all out on the line. Their economy is going to hell. They're bombing the hell out of everything, and they're picking up a very little territory, if any. In fact, they're losing some territory. So I think it's been very bad for the reputation of Russia. This war should have been over. If this were our war, we would have had it over in 1 week. And they're getting into fourth year, Jeff. They're getting into the fourth year now. 4 year of fighting, and you see what they've taken. In the last month, they've taken very little, and you've been reporting on all the bombing, all the drones all over the place. 900 drones coming into certain areas like Kiev in one night. And with all of that work, they've taken over very little. So I'm very disappointed in President Putin. I thought I solved 7 wars. In fact, we have a great leader coming, with the Prime Minister of Pakistan coming, and the Field Marshal, Pakistan Field Marshal is a very great guy, and so is the Prime Minister, both. And they're coming, and they may be in this room right now, I don't know, because we're late. And I said maybe they'd like to join they actually may be somewhere in the beautiful Oval Office. Yeah, please, behind you.
Did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you said?
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank.
Mr.
There's been enough, it's time to stop now, okay? Yeah, please.
Jasmine Crockett recently.
Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine, remember what I said? Is she a relation to the late great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one, because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're gonna, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, between her and Ilman Omar. And, you know, I met the head of Somalia, did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he said, I don't want her. Okay, what else? Go ahead, let's hear what Crockett said. Go ahead.
Compared ICE ratings to slave patrol, I want to ask you.
To slave?
To slave patrol, I want to ask you if you think that there should be consequences for members of Congress who make these types of comparisons. Or use
Yeah,
this type of language.
well, I think she's gone over the line, and I think a lot of the people, look, the Democrats have become radical left lunatics. They have policies that nobody's gonna buy. And, you know, I see what's going on in New York. We're gonna have perhaps a communist mayor, because it's split up. You know, if the people would get together and have one candidate, they'd have, a pretty good chance. But looks like maybe they're not gonna do that. But we're gonna end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. When I left New York to become president, it was a great place. But it was the beginning of bad things, because we had de Blasio, had just started as mayor, and I said, this guy's a real nut job. Went to Harvard to teach management, can you believe it? He went to Harvard to teach city management, along with the mayor of Chicago, who went to Harvard to teach, the two of them are teaching how to manage a city manage it into hell, is what they do. But that was the beginning, and now we're gonna go a step further. Now we're going with the communists. Can I be honest? I think it's the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. I really do. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party. It's sad for New York, but it's a gift. And New York will recover, because you know, sometimes you need a shock like that to straighten you out. But it's politically, it's probably a very good thing.
This was addressed immigration, crime, and the World Cup, actually.
That's a lot of.
We have a number of cities that are pushing back against your immigration deportation bill, as well as your crime initiatives. Some of those cities.
I don't think they're very much
But
pushing
some of those
back.
cities have World Cup games.
Yeah.
Seattle, San Francisco.
They're gonna be very secure.
Could those teams move if they don't cooperate with your crime?
Well, that's an interesting one, I guess, but we're gonna make sure they're safe. They're run by radical left lunatics, and that don't know what they're doing. Look at Washington DC. I just got numbers. There's like no crime in Washington DC. You, Jeff, will not be mugged walking down the street. You can walk down the street with your family. You can walk down the street with your wife, your daughter, your son, and you're not gonna be. We took out 1,700 career criminals that we're not allowing back. And we have this city in great shape. You know, there was a time when not long ago, when every single week you'd have at least one murder. And look what's happening with Washington. It's safe. I went to dinner in Washington just to prove a point. I gave a press conference in the middle of a street. I wouldn't say Secret Service was thrilled, but I did it, and here I am. Look, Washington DC is such a great example of what can be done. We did it in 12 days. We made it very safe in 12 days, and now it's much safer than that. One other thing, I drove around Washington over the weekend, and I said, look at the difference. The grass looked great, everything looked great. You know, we had a lot of our National Guard, and we didn't ask them to do it. They did it themselves. They're proud. They're great. And they were picking up paper. They were cleaning. The place looked really beautiful. So we have a great Washington, D.C. We, as you probably know, we're going into Memphis, and we're going into some other cities, and very soon we're going to go into Chicago. It will be safe for the World Cup. If I think it isn't safe, we'll move it into a different city, absolutely. We'll take the World Cup. If I think it's not, it's actually a very fair question. If I think it's not safe, we're going to move it out of that city. If, like, the governor of Illinois, who is, you know, look, between last week and the week before, 11 murders, and 38 people were shot. then he gets up and he says, this is a very safe, and then he says crime is better. The reason crime is better is because Cash put, about 5 months ago, a whole team of FBI people there to get ready for when we go in, and they've lowered it a little bit, you know, like 20-25%, which isn't good enough, but it's a good start. But that was only put there because they're preparing for us to go in. And they've done, by the way, they've done a good job. So then Pritzker gets up, we've lowered crime 25, it's because the FBI was there. So, no, if any city we think is gonna be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup, or for the Olympics, you know, where they have Olympic overthrow, right? But for the World Cup in particular, because they're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it to go to, we'll move it around a little bit. But I hope that's not gonna happen, yeah.
Record developed this morning indicated that the shooter in Dallas had been using an app to track ICE. Does your administration have any plans to take down those apps or get them removed?
Well, I can't tell you about that, but it tells you when they want to wear masks or they want to hide a little bit, why that's so important. But these are great patriots, the ICE, and what a tough job they have. What an unbelievably tough job they have. And think of it, what are they doing? They're taking hardcore criminals out of our country and putting them back. These were largely criminals that were given to us by Joe Biden and his group of radical maniacs that surrounded this desk, just like these people surround the desk now, but they're not maniacs, they're pretty solid people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad I prefaced it. But they're great. We have a great cabinet, we have great people, and he didn't have great people, he had terrible people. Look at Afghanistan, look at the people he had running our military. That could happen. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country was Afghanistan. And 13 young people died. They don't ever talk about the 38 that were horribly wounded with legs and arms and everything else, really horribly wounded. So the country's respected like it's probably almost never been respected. I think we're respected at a level. And a year ago, it was a dead country. We had a dead country a year ago. This country was dying. It was really in bad shape. Let's talk about the next subject, shall we?
One of the most powerful deterrents we have to violent crime is the death penalty. As you said, your administration has taken bold, decisive steps to ensure that Washington, D.C. is once again a safe and secure city for its residents and all who visit. This is a presidential memorandum that directs your Attorney General and your U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Shapiro, to fully implement the death penalty here in Washington, D.C., where the evidence and facts of the case indicate that the death penalty should be used.
Okay? Everybody understand? Death penalty in Washington. You kill somebody, or if you kill a police officer, law enforcement officer, death penalty. And hopefully there won't be that. So again, it's way down. I mean, we have had week after week after week where we haven't had a murder. I said that the other day in front of the president of Poland. The press was here and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that Washington, D.C. has not had a death in 4 weeks, a murder. And he looked at me and goes, is that good or bad? You know, he's saying, what kind of a place is this? But it's true for years. I mean, every week essentially somebody got killed or more than one. And this is a very safe city right now. We don't play games. And you know, it's interesting. We took these careers out, career criminals. They call them careers. They left the word criminal out, but we took the careers out of here. And they're now brought back to their homes, or they're in jail, or they're in a jail in another country, and hopefully they're not coming back. And we have to maintain it. You can't just leave. We have to maintain it. We've gotten along fairly well with the mayor. You know, she's got a party that hates that the city's becoming safe. I mean, they're actually criticizing her because the city's becoming safe. But this is becoming this is right now a very, very safe city. This went from the most unsafe city in the country to the safest city in the country. There's no city any safer. That's a pretty big achievement. And we really did it in 12 days. But if you add an extra week to it, that'd be nice. And I mean, you can go out to dinner. Restaurants are booming. You know, the restaurants were dead. They were dead. Even if you got to the restaurant, then somebody would come in and hold you up. You know, they'd hold up the whole restaurant. They go to Uber, young ladies in the White House. they'd call Uber for protection. They'd run to the car because they were petrified to be from the entrance of their building to the car. Now they feel safe, they're in the car, and then the car gets hijacked while they're in the back of the car. This is what we were living in. We were living in hell. People that work in the White House, every time they see me, young women in particular, say, "Thank you, sir." And I don't even ask them about what. I know exactly. And made their lives. Now they're living in a beautiful, glamorous place called Washington, D.C. with no crime, and that's the way it should be. Okay? This is the death penalty for somebody that kills people in Washington, D.C. I think it's capital. It's a very interesting capital punishment, capital city. Right? It's capital, capital, capital. But this is our capital city. We can't allow that to happen. People come in from Iowa to look at the Lincoln Memorial and they end up getting killed. It doesn't happen anymore. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's the death penalty for the person that, and this goes into effect.
Yes, sir.
Right? Pam, is that right? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax facilities where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Okay, that's a big statement. Thank you very much. Okay. I see some of you shaking your heads very positive. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, fellas.
Selective.
It said it. Yeah.
The death penalty if anybody illegal killed a U.S. citizen.
That's right.
Police officer. So this just reinforces your.
Talk about, ask them the questions,
Most
reporters.
people really like it. And Washington, again, it's going to serve as a beacon because you have to do it. These are bad people. When you look at that the guy that killed the young lady in the train in North Carolina, that he'll be in trial for years and years, years. He'll get a good lawyer somewhere along the line. Somebody will come along and what he did to that young lady. And she went into that train scared. You know, when she went in, the way she sat down, she was scared to just be there. She just wanted to not pay any attention to anybody, just not be noticed. And she had her throat slit. We don't want that in this country anymore. We're not going to have it in this country anymore. Thank you very much. Next.
Lastly, sir, this is a presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and you know, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, you know, probably know. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words?
Yes, Mr. President. This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we've seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign.
400 years.
It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well funded, it is well planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country.
Really is.
There is an entire system of feeder organizations.
Stephen Miller said
resources, weapons.
they have been
when they're attacking
unleashed.
ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings. where they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to
What the
uproot these
hell is
organizations.
going on with the United
It's only
States?
possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
Thank you, Steve. Cash, please.
Yes, as Steve was saying, Mr. President, thanks to your leadership, crime is going downward in a tremendous fashion, and that's what we want for every state in America. And the FBI's premier flagship enterprise, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are honored to lead this initiative with our partners at Treasury and Homeland Security, because our citizens are being attacked by, as Stephen said, organized violence, and it's being paid for, not by them, by other people. So what we are gonna do, combining forces as Scott and I have done in these last few months, is follow the money. People and organizations have collected funds and put them out into the streets of America and organized violence across our country. And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are, and our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Who
Pam?
specifically do you want to target?
What?
You said Antifa, is there a specific group or person that you're targeting in this?
Any organized group.
Any organization?
Any organized group.
Any organized
Committing
group.
crimes, and we're working with the Secretary of Treasury.
That's
Law
vague.
enforcement has told us under President Trump's leadership, he's taken the handcuffs off law enforcement. They can do their jobs now, thanks to you, President Trump, and that's what's happening. And all of these agencies that Cash mentioned, we work hand in hand together. Our prosecutors were following the money with Treasury, we're working with Homeland Security, Cash's agents, all of our agents, DEA, ATF, US Marshals, combined are working, and with state and local government, to take these people off the streets who are jeopardizing lives.
Can I just illustrate this? So I was talking with Cash and Stephen about this a couple of days ago, sir. So I believe it was in Oregon where you had a federal building where there were men in black ski masks who were committing acts of violence, who were shutting down a government building. To the president's point, they don't come from nowhere. These are paid people. This is organized. They're committing acts of political terrorism on American soil. And it's time we had a government that looked out for the American people rather than the people who are committing violence against the American people.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it. Every night, and this is going on for years. They just burn the place down, and you know the shop owners, most of them have left, but the few shops that are open, they just use plywood and just like 3/4 inch plywood. They don't put storefronts because they know it's going to be burned down. These are professional agitators.
Right.
These are bad people, and they're paid a lot of money by rich people, some of whom we know. I'm sure I know some. I don't. If I knew, I wouldn't associate because I'll be in trouble. Because Pam will say, "Why are you associating with this person?" But I will tell you that these are bad people, and they're paying a lot of money, millions of dollars. But take a look at Portland sometime. These are wild. These are crazy people, and they're trying to burn down buildings, including federal buildings. And on my list of things that I want to do before we finish up with the cities, because I think we're going to whip the cities back into shape, but we have to. We cannot let our cities, and that's a small example, but it's the most violent example. It's every night, and they've done it for years. You'd think maybe at some point they made their point, and what are they doing? But we're going to get out there, and we're going to do a pretty big number of those people in Portland that are doing that. They're professional agitators and anarchists. They're actually anarchists, yeah. Go ahead, what are you defend? Let's see you defend them.
This
Jeff.
is like,
So that we can explain this in our stories.
You don't explain it right though, Jeff. Go ahead, let's go. Maybe, let's give you another chance. Go ahead.
Antifa, Soros, what names are we talking about?
Well, Soros is a name certainly that I keep hearing. I don't know, but Soros is a name that I hear. I hear a lot of different names. I hear names of some pretty rich people that are radical left people. maybe I hear about a guy named Reed Hoffman. Somebody's a pretty rich guy, I guess, and I hear about him. I don't know,
I'm
maybe.
really concerned. I'm getting more concerned.
Could be a lot of people. We hear the same names, but they're bad, and we're gonna find out. And if they are funding these things, they're gonna have some problems, because they're agitators and they're anarchists. These are anarchists. Really bad. Okay, yeah, but.
You know,
If you
the rest of them were black people.
Are you on?
Who you with? Who you with?
I'm at Center Square. Sarah Roberts.
And not told.
There's also, as you know, Antifa is not just a domestic.
They're gonna send them out of the country and keep us here.
It's also international. And then the government is looking at, also designating them a terrorism.
Are you buying cash is a fake FBI Stephen Miller is a white supremacist.
Expand that to making them designated.
Yes, we have.
international.
Yeah, we have it. It's an international, in many cases it is international. Yeah.
Rather than that, but if someone takes a distribution from America and says they're Antifa, what happens to them? What will happen to them?
Well, I'd say the maximum under the law, and we'll see. Now, if they kill somebody, we just signed a death penalty, so it depends where it is, but if they kill somebody, which they do, I mean, people are dying. You go out to Portland, people die out there. Many people have died over the years in Portland. Portland is, I don't know how anybody lives there. It's amazing. But it's anarchy out there. That's what they want. They want anarchy. Like when they attacked Seattle and took over a big percentage of the city. I was gonna go out and we were gonna do a big number. They heard that and everybody broke up all of a sudden. But you know, you have governors that have to run that, and a lot of them don't do that. I don't like to go in. I'd rather have Pritzker's support when we go into Chicago. But if we don't have it, that's okay too, because we're paramount and we will do what we have to do. We're gonna make Chicago safe. We're gonna make everything. We're gonna make as many as we can, and usually that involves a surge. But what we did with, in the case of Chicago, by having the FBI go out there 5 or 6 months ago, we brought it down a little bit. You know, a little bit is 25%, so it's not so little, but it is when you're talking about the kind of crime and killings and murders that you hear in Chicago. But we're gonna get it.
Farm
Chicago's a great city. As the Union Pacific said, the head of the Union Pacific was a great guy, started off as a low-rung guy. He said he started in a caboose, and now he's the chairman of the Union Pacific. Right? He's a great guy, but he said, sir, don't lose Chicago. The way he said it, I said, boy, it really hit me. You know, he's a man that knows all the cities. The Union Pacific, I guess, is our largest railroad, and he knows all the cities. He's been doing it for 45 years, and he said, sir, don't lose Chicago. And the way he said that meant a lot to me, and we're gonna go into Chicago very soon. We're gonna take care of Memphis. We're gonna take care of Memphis. You can't walk a block without getting shot. We're gonna take care of that one, and just like we did Washington D.C., and we're gonna do Chicago very soon. Yeah.
There could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment or?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, can you comment on a New York Times, Attorney General, can you comment on a New York Times report saying that Justice Department officials have asked attorneys to target a George Soros funded group, and is this executive order that you just signed a part of the effort?
I'm not gonna comment on whether there is or is not a pending investigation, but everything's on the table right now.
I don't think anybody has to ask, because if you look at Soros, he's at the top of every, in fact, sometimes they say, could he be involved in this many things? But he's in every story that I read. Stories that I read keep talking about Soros, and so, you know, I guess he'd be a likely candidate. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm kind of concerned about this administration. It's like, I know Trump's been, since he's been in office, I mean, he started out just phenomenal to me, like closing the borders and putting American citizens first. You know, he said we were going to have more jobs coming into this country, but starting his administration, it was over 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs. We have a higher job loss. The rate is like, I think 7.5, the highest in 5 years. And he was talking about under Biden administration, how the Black jobs were at an all-time low. So And then all of the federal workers that voted for him, that I guess a lot of them didn't expect that they would be on the chopping block, that those were living wage jobs. Those were the type of jobs that you put your children through college. Those are the type of jobs that you can go on family vacations. Those weren't any old jobs. Federal jobs are great jobs with great benefits and great insurance. People lost everything. The farmers that voted for him, they've been complaining. I just saw it yesterday, that they're complaining about how the tariffs have hit them harshly. And they said they voted because everything is costing them so much more money that they're not making money. Now somehow he said he's going to take tariff money to give to these farmers, but then they're still complaining about the immigration. Because of immigration, they lost their farm help that they were paying the farmers. I mean, the farmers were paying the immigrants probably at a lower wage. So they don't want to pay cost of living wages, and they probably do not want to have to pay minimum wages for the farm help. So now he needs people to work the farms, because with Tom Homan and deporting these illegal immigrants, now he needs farm help. So where is that going to come from? Okay, now we're going to all urban cities, to black cities. Tell me, 1,700 people were not in Washington, D.C., murdering and killing people, and robbing people and raping people. They have been arresting people that have been homeless. They have been locking up, and they are pretending like because you're down on your luck, that's a crime. They are arresting homeless people that have nowhere to live and nowhere to go. They were thrown away like trash. There were no accommodations made for them like we did non-citizens to provide a place for them to go to. They came in, bulldozed with all their belongings, and said, oh, well.
No, this is something that we saw first, and we've been saying before that YouTubers started saying it.
What?
They were saying we were sounding like, that one channel that was like, oh, he started copying us.
Oh, well, we got a lot of people copying us for our content.
Said we sound like him.
For I don't know who we're supposed to sound like, but I sound like myself. I'm authentic. We don't use a script or teleprompter or any devices that people use
our content. To what we talk about.
Yeah, that people use to get viewership. And people are watching us because they say, how are they getting so many views? Okay, so they are taking our content and the things we're saying, and then they titled it. Like, if people look at this, they're not hearing this conversation. They're just looking at the title of the video, but the best part of the video is when we're able to react to the video. Yeah. And a lot of people they're not even going to the video because they say, okay, he had a executive signing, but the executive signing, we're having a reaction. And that's the part we have to start highlighting our reactions and clipping, because we don't edit, we don't do anything. We just come on and we talk off the cuff. This is not rehearsed.
And another thing, I keep seeing people saying in the chat, like, we tried to warn you. Like, who did you expect for us to vote instead of Trump?
This was like a terrible choice this past election. I couldn't in good faith vote for Kamala Harris after I saw that she was incompetent and unfit for duty. And then even instead of picking Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who would have been awesome to be her running partner as vice president, she chose Tampon Tim. So her decision making from the door was awful. She ran for 2 months, wouldn't talk to the media. When she opened her mouth, it was all word salad, and she couldn't speak without a teleprompter.
And she was the border czar.
And she was the border czar. And you can look at the 19th Congress, you'll see her name, border czar. Border czar. I think it's the 119th Congress, but you can Google what Congress it was, but she was most definitely the border czar. So those open borders were her responsibility. And they didn't need an executive order to close the borders. They could have done it at any time, but they wanted people to flood into this country. But we're still not taking care of our own American citizens, so I have a problem with that. But what I'm concerned about, that Trump and this is going rogue. It's like, this is like the revengeful tour. And these people are elected to serve us, not to go after us with the military, not to go after us, You're not going to have a crime-less country anywhere on this earth. Period.
And the left.
So it's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that's going on right now that we need to take into account. And every time now he opens up his mouth, it's almost like he's still the president of the left, the radical left.
Learn to spell critic.
Those are the citizens of this country. Now, if you're in leadership and you're a leader, he has to learn how to speak to that part of America. Because whether they voted for him or not, he's in office to serve them, not to call them names, not to plaster them, not to like say, I'm doing this and doing that. His people are just arresting people by the color of their skin. That's how people are being arrested. But all of these people out here every day that are killing cops, he didn't say nothing about. Not one word. He's talking about the young lady that was a Ukrainian young lady that was stabbed to death by that mentally ill black man. That's a big ass issue. But there are other people that have been stabbed to death by white men riding on transportation that they're not talking about. There are cops being shot dead. He's not talking about any other things. These mass shooters, he's not mentioning any of the mass shooters, nothing.
Oh, thank you. Games said, y'all are my heroes. He said, I love you guys.
Thank you. We love you too. And this platform, we're not, we honor God. That's how y'all have to know who we are. We honor God. And I say people know this, that been subscribed to this channel know I'm not beholden to a red party or a blue party. I'm beholden to God. I answer to God. I have voted on both demographics. Democrats, straight down ballot. You know how black people, we don't even look at policy. Straight down ballot Democrats have campaigned for them, have served as rallies, have spoken on behalf of hundreds of thousands of people that belong to the organization I belong to. All of it. And I didn't know how much ill will that was done to the black community at the hands of the Democratic Party. Once I had been awoken to that issue, then I said, okay, let's look at the Republican Party. I said, well, Trump never did a 1994 crime bill against black people. He did the First Step Act, where as Biden had to admit that was a big mistake. That 1994 crime bill, mass incarceration, people were getting life sentences for a morsel of marijuana. That's what they did to the black community and black men. And then they said, where are the fathers at? They put them in jail, then they become a felon, then you can't even vote. And then they allow them to be raped inside of prisons. Nothing is being done about that, but they run to the detainee centers for non-citizens. But they don't check on American citizens.
Yeah, now Game's saying, I came here before and the chat was nothing but bullies, but I think what you're doing is awesome. Yeah, thank you, but we're going to need some more
Yeah, well, make them a moderator. So the way that we operate, we want conversation. We don't want, like we get moderators putting out all the Democrats and putting out all the Republicans. You have to have the conversations. Unless that they cannot be an adult and speak in a clear, concise manner, that they feel the only way that they can get through is to be threatening or just bullying people in the chat, then they got to bounce. Because they could go to a channel that people are sellouts, people say what you want to hear, and people won't question those in authority over us. I'm going to question leadership. I'm going to question those in authority over us. And that's what we all should do. You should take it for a grain of salt when people are in position to serve you. You should make sure that they have the right intent on your behalf instead of these people are just fighting each other. How is that beneficial to the United States of America when the Republicans and Democrat leadership just continuously fight one another? No one is winning. And just to label them as radical left and this, well, Republicans have been committing crimes as well. And how are we going to overlook all the killings that are being done by white on white crime? It's like he's like Like, we don't see that. We don't talk about, they don't talk about that. It's like, okay, we're back to 1994 crime bill, but now it's the 2025 crime bill that you're safer if who are not a threat. Black people have never been a threat to this country. We've been traumatized by this country, but we are not the threat to the United States of America. We're not the threat. But now they're gonna flip the script. Like, you're only safe if black people aren't around when we're not committing the most crimes. We're not the mass shooters. We're not the ones that are killing all the cops and all this stuff that's going on, that somehow that he's not acknowledging. And neither is some of these news, like Fox News and them. I'm surprised they only put on about the detainee center because it had to do with Tom Holman and ICE. But they didn't put on about the cops that were killed in York, Pennsylvania, or the cop that was killed, shot at 15 times and 10 times in his head, or about the cop that was killed at CDC. They ain't say no statues for them. People who are giving their life serving this country aren't even spoken about.
Joe, I hope you feel happy about that vote for Kamala you did.
But the stuff that he's doing, he's so it's like he wanted to stop people from speaking. You can't do that. That's what America's about. The Fifth Amendment, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Whether you like what people say or not, you can agree to disagree. But it's important that we don't follow after other communist countries and countries that don't allow their citizens to speak. You got to go along to get along. We don't want to become like Russia with dictators. Or China.
Now it looks like he's teaming up with Zelensky.
I don't know what's going on, that now they want the death penalty. Who's that for? Black men? You trying to kill black men now to get notches under your belt? You imprison black men. You want to kill black men while you got mass shooters running around and making excuse for them about everything. Mental illness, trouble. Don't you think black people are traumatized and suffer from mental illness as well?
Or they don't talk about
it. And don't talk about it at all. I could put up like 20 incidences of white males killing people in the last 3 weeks. What's going on? And the majority of cops. People at a wedding. White guys shooting up all the people in the wedding. They at the freaking game. They fighting each other. None of this stuff is being, because that's never in the forefront, because the only picture you want are black Americans when we are not running around thuggish and violent. When you label a whole community as a thug, then how do you differentiate? We're not all that way. The majority of us are not like that. Every community has less desirables. In every community have the same issue. And because you keep locking up black people, then with 1994 crime bill, that didn't stop crime. Crimes were still being committed. That never stopped crime. What that did is unjustly lock up and over sentence so many people that have taken their lives for slave labor. Because, see, prisons is a big business. They built more prisons that house more people. It's big business. It's big money. You got to keep the prisons filled up. So it's like you're going to every urban, let's get the black people. You get the black people. Now you say black people are more under a threat and have always been more under the threat in this country than any other citizen of the United States of America. Because we're the only ones that have a horrific past in this country. Well, no, I can't. I'm sorry. Native Americans, they really quit. It was 100 million of them. How many is it now? They really caught it. Yeah. But then black Americans, we've been to say we're not the ones that's causing all of the violence in this country, but they only highlight that one city. They don't talk about everywhere else throughout the United States. They keep talking about Chicago when there are 13 red cities that have more crime in those cities than even Chicago. Want to give numbers with that, but you're not giving numbers in what's happening in other states. And if they wanted to end it, Well, you know what they did? They pulled the money from programs. They gave them less opportunity. You have crime when people don't have opportunity. They know it. They know it. Everything is a game. It's planned out for them to be impoverished and feel like that there's no way out. They're removing, even Trump administration removed funding even for children who have gone through certain circumstances. They're not trying to help them. They want the crime. But guess what? That foolishness has to stop. That's why I know Jesus is coming back soon. Because it has to stop. Everybody has social media. That's the best thing that's happened now. The time we're living in is that everything's being revealed. You can go on social media and if you don't want to listen to mainstream media, you have ground news. They show you the right and the left. That's where I get my news source from. You got so many avenues of getting information from AI, which is great. Google, Siri, you can find out anything within a matter of 10 seconds.
And if you don't want bias, use AI because it's a robot.
And you can fact check everything. So don't believe everything that they're saying to you. Oh, it's so horrible. Crime is no, it's not. Nobody was afraid. And white women are not these little fragile little women that are afraid. They are not afraid. They are strong women. They're not fragile. The ones standing behind them all packed. They all carry. They're not no fragile little creatures. And they love black men. If that's the case, like you must say, they're not running from black men. They're running to black men. Truth be told. I want them for us, though. But it's amazing how it's projected that if you lock up everyone of color, that somehow white America is safer when white America are out there with these mass shootings. You can't send your kids to school. The movie theater, the drugstore, Target, they're everywhere.
Pat, do you live in Chicago?
It makes no sense, but that's the go-to. But they're not going to talk about, go look up and see how many cop killings have been done in the last 2 weeks by white men. Look at how many mass shooters that have gone on in the past month. Look up who's doing look how many, you talking about that Ukrainian lady, look how many white men have been stabbing people to death.
Pat, well, there's other ways than the national.
This is crazy.
The National Guard to stop crime. Like,
you got they got police.
What's the governor? Is he a governor?
Oh yeah, in Baltimore. You have the programs.
Look what he's doing.
You don't need the National Guard. They are not police. Our military is not supposed to be policing United States citizens. That's not their job. They're trained as soldiers. That when there's a threat outside of this country, then they are sent out to fight for us so that we can stay safe and free. They're not trained to police civilians. That's what the police are for. That's what the police are used for. Then you're going to take the FBI when we got 350 terrorists running around, Trinidad Rocker, MS-13 gang members, ISIS, cartel. We got all this in this goddamn country. And you're going to take the FBI and have them walk in the streets looking for black people to lock up for any reason so Trump can have his numbers.
If you're scared and you're a police officer, you shouldn't be doing
Yeah, if you're a police officer and you're frightened, you don't need that job.
I'm just saying that police are scared in Chicago.
They are not afraid in Chicago. And see, that's the poster child. That's one thing about being brainwashed. When you keep hearing the same thing, and that's what they keep doing, is flooding, keep telling the same thing over and over again. It's dangerous, Chicago, dangerous. But they're not talking about the red states and all the other killings, that you need the National Guards. One guy was beating up a former Doge employee. That's how this that's how this all started. Because Elon probably was having a pissy fit. That was one of his guys. And he got, I don't know what this Epstein thing and him and Trump and stuff is going on. But when that guy had gotten beaten up, then now we need the National Guards. He wasn't murdered. He was beaten up.
Justin, you saying that you seem really fragile.
He was beaten up. And then you get the National Guards, FBI, AFT, Homeland Security. You know how many federal agencies he got walking around? I mean,
You seem really fragile, Justin.
it's crazy.
Pat,
But
you can look it up if you don't
and they don't want to
believe
send the
us.
funds in, but we could fund 14 plus million homeless people, but we won't send funds in a few million to get people on the right direction. Try being impoverished and the government removes all resources to help you get out of your dilemma. And then now it's a crime to be homeless. You go to jail. Those people that they removed in Washington, the social workers were out there. See, y'all gonna be watching all the programs. They said, look, we don't even have the beds for them. We're short 2,000 beds. There's nowhere for them to go. So imagine you're already on the street and the little that you have, the government comes and throw away all your belongings. Then what? You're still on the street. It's easy to say stuff from the comfort of your home. If you want to see what it's like to be homeless, why don't you take you and your children and you go live outside for 3 days. 3 days. Give it three days and see how you survive. Just go outside 3 days. Live on the streets. If you want to see what it's like to be homeless. That people spit on you, mistreat you, kick you, talk about you, harass you. And don't worry about going to the bathroom because you can't go in no facility because after a day or so you're smelly. And then they could tell you're homeless. You can't go and use any facility and try having no money. You want to test what it's like? Their world? Instead of helping them, but we can help non-citizens. Are you kidding me? America ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Pat, you're saying that, but did you know we could look up how many veterans are homeless? Did they choose to be homeless?
Look at this
the people
crap.
that served for our country?
Let it happen to you. See, some people need to actually learn from experience. You think everyone homeless because they don't want to work, fall on hard times and lose your job and can't find a job. And you have no family, you have no friends, and you don't have anywhere where you can go and live at. The only place you could go is on the street. That happens to Americans every day. You think your job is secure? Okay. A lot of people one paycheck away from being homeless. You know how many people are living in vans and cars now? That are American citizens, and they lucky to have a car or a van that they can live in. Imagine living in a car and that's your home. A car. No bathroom, no nothing. That's the car. It's easy for people to say things when it's not them. No, and then you have people out there that have served us that suffer from mental illness. They need help. And they should be a top priority. Those vets should be a top priority, but they're not. But Washington looks beautiful now. It's all cleaned up. So when dignitaries come in, they could, look how nice it looks. So it looks presentable now. Get rid of the people. Just get rid of the citizens. And we're good now. And the other ones, we want to show we're going to kill them. That's what we're doing now. You got this fake, Kash Patel, I'm just starting to see, he never even worked for the FBI before, and he's the FBI director. There's some question, and Pam Bondi, I thought she was going to be a good pick, but she got that Epstein file on her desk, and now all of a sudden, it never existed. That doesn't come off well with the public. And then when you go after late night comedians, whether you like their humor or not, because I really don't like them, but they still have a right to have freedom of speech. They still have a right.
Christian is just out there. He said, blame the government. Meanwhile, people walk by other people who are suffering without helping. You're the problem if you blame the government.
You are the problem, because if you're walking by them, then you're not doing your just duties by supporting them. Why don't you support them? I don't walk by anybody, and I taught my kids. They got to eat every day. They need clothes every day. They need shoes, I buy them. They need a coat, I buy them. They need a warm place to stay at, come in my office. Stay warm in here. If I can get your hotel room, if they allow you to go in there, I get that too. But the government does have a responsibility. If they could take care of 14 plus homeless, non-citizens that came into this country, you're telling me that we can't take care of our homeless, to help them? Really? That's a lie from hell. We can help them. And we should help them. While we have these resources and paying tax dollars, and we don't even utilize it for our own citizens. But we can, you know what it is to take in 14 plus million people? They get SNAP, they get Medicare, Medicaid. Some of them was on Social Security. They going to college off our dime. They getting free education in our schools. They were driving cars. They didn't have to do permits. They don't even have to show a license to go on a plane. We got to have IDs that they aren't required to have. And the jobs that they have taken from American citizens, all those construction jobs and all those buildings being built, all those landscaping jobs, all those housekeeping jobs, those were American citizens that aren't having the opportunity to work at those jobs.
To the people that keep saying like now we're in the quote unquote find out stage, or now we're regretting our vote for Trump, we still are happy that Trump is president over Kamala and are still for who we voted for. We are just saying things that we don't agree with what's going on.
And one thing that we've been true to where we stand, we said that we don't agree with 100% with anyone. And when we don't agree, we are going to call it out. And that's what we're doing. That's being a true patriot.
True human being.
That's what that is. If we were just going along with everything and ignoring things, then that would be a big difference. But I don't agree with everything with neither party. And that's the honest to God truth. I had agreed more with Trump and the direction of this country, but what's going on now is too personal. It's too personal. You know, people need to be asking, why do the Secretary of War is calling 800 generals and admirals and leaders and staff to Virginia? And we're not going, we're not at war. Why would he be having this big meeting to have them come from all over the world where they're stationed at, that they are commanding at least 1,000 people or more? That's kind of weird. What kind of conversation need to be had? So I don't know. I'm watching Russia, India, y'all been on here, North Korea, and China. I'm watching them, how they moving. We know that meeting today was important with the Turkish president, because they're part of NATO and they have the second strongest military in NATO next to the United States of America. And plus, they have the Black Sea. So that's extremely important when it comes to Russia and Ukraine and Gaza and Israel. So there's a lot going on. But anyway, you guys, I don't know, but we're going to question and things we don't agree with. And that's why we put Trump on, because you need to listen to, whether you voted for him or not, you still need to hear what he's talking about. And this is something that I never was doing, listening to the leaders. That's why a lot of stuff went on with Joe Biden administration. I wasn't even paying attention that he was absent 40% of his presidency. And I had no idea that Kamala was MIA, because I wasn't paying attention.
In the auto pan.
I just expected them to, okay, y'all hands it that. That's y'all job. Take care of the government. Not anymore. Now I'm paying attention. And they got elections coming up, 26 and 28. So if they keep moving in the direction they're moving in, you're going to have people running to the polls to get them out of office. They're going to be running to the polls because you got every different ethnicity that's being attacked. And people are going to go back to voting for the Democratic Party, even though they don't agree. That's what's going to happen. Because it's too personal right now. Too many people are being attacked. Workers, everybody. About this administration at this point. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to jump off because I wasn't going to come on for this. I wanted to come on for something else, but I will get back to that. I don't know if I have time to do another video. I might just upload. So don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. But these are questions and things that you guys need to look at. Even people that support Trump, just like we have been supporting him. You got to look at your leadership. Don't be in your feelings and so sensitive that you can't critique them. That doesn't change your vote. Your vote has already been cast. But you can question the leadership.
Well, Kyle, I wouldn't agree with that because Trump had a great first term.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this term, but it's I don't know. But it's not feeling too good right now. You know, we continue to all Americans, then who are you representing? Who are the Americans that you just want to represent? The ones that was at Charlie Kirk's memorial or all America? Who are you representing? Who are in this who are they representing? This administration.
Right.
It's like alienating everyone. You can't alienate the people that you were elected to serve. And calling, like, I'll go to Jasmine Crockett. She has never been my favorite, but the woman is not low IQ. She's extremely intelligent. And she's been to the best colleges and best private schools. And Benny Johnson, he's a YouTuber. He went to our hometown to expose. She's playing ghetto and all that. That woman is extremely smart.
Kyle,
and a lawyer.
Kyle, you could look this up because you probably don't even know it. But look at what on his first term, what he did for HBCUs
and the first step.
Yeah. And how many black people who were in prison for minor offenses that he helped.
And Joe Biden didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. None of them did it. And if you look at his debate in 2016, I believe it was that 2020 debate, when he was talking about going at Joe Biden about the 1994 crime bill and what and the everlasting effect that it had on the black community. But now it's like he's doing the same thing.
I also will say the economy was great too, his first term.
So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the administration, the people that are around him this time. I don't know what's going on, but this is a different Trump than the Trump that served previously. This is a whole different Trump. So 2016 Trump and 2024 Trump, when he got elected, are two different Trumps. So I don't know. And he's going after people and he's telling them. And it's you can't be like that being the president of the United States. You got to have a level head. You got to be calm. And you're elected to serve all the people, not just the people you like. So anyway, you guys, hopefully, I don't know. We got to pray for those in authority over us. We got to pray for leadership. We got to, because nobody's perfect. And we don't serve man. We serve God. Always remember that. You don't serve man. You serve God. And that's what it's all about. And thanks, guys, for joining us. We are authentic. Who are they trying to say that we were like?
You want me to say it now?
Just tell me.
They were trying to say that we were like Philip.
Oh no, no. I do like his channel, but no.
Copied us.
No. We're not like, but we are more on the same page at this point. But he's fine. But there are some people that have channels that I don't agree with them at all. First of all, if they are sellouts or if they want to make money off of putting their own race down, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. It's not about the Benjamins for us. It's about the truth. This is cause we live up to speak the truth. Like, we're not perfect and we're not right about everything, but we're passionate and we want the truth. We're seeking the truth. We're not seeking the Benjamins. We're seeking the truth. And we're going to speak the truth. We can agree to disagree. Even the people that we support have supported. If they're not doing right, then we're not going to go along with it. We're going to call it out. And I think that now is going in a whole nother direction that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned at this point. You know, what is the United States becoming? What is it becoming? You got one party trying to clamp down the other party to the point that nobody can run against you any longer? Like, what's going on? So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you for joining us. See you later, guys. God bless everyone.
God bless.
We hanging in there, but we're going to keep watching. Thanks, guys. God bless. And don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Peace out. God bless.